welcome to Woman to Woman. Have you ever stopped to think why a woman would fall in love and marry a man who's in prison? Well, many do. In fact, in 1980, in the state of California, and that 1 year alone, over 1,000 marriages were made between men who are in prison and women who live on the outside. And we thought today we would ask some of the women here who have done just that, fallen in love and married men in prison, why. But before we talk to them, we wanted to show you what is really rather a unique program in the state of California, and that is that at San Quentin Prison, they have marriages the first Tuesday of every month, I think it is. And we were invited, along with our cameras, into the prison to show you just how these marriages take place and to look at some of the new brides and grooms. Let's look at that now.
I love him so much. That's why I marry him. I love him. I do. I love him. Yeah. I didn't think this kind of love was possible for me, you know. I'm 36. Nothing like this ever came along before. And boy, I'm going to love it. I just love it. You know, I'm happy. You know, even though I go home alone, like I say, I'm real happy knowing that I have a man, and he is a real man. And this place is full of real men.
Something that people just don't really be wanting to do because they be feeling that their boyfriend is in jail. Why should they get married and their boyfriend is in jail? But if you love somebody, just going to get married to them.
I think my wife married me because with me, she knows that she's not getting somebody plastic. When you marry a convict, you know what you're getting. You know, there's no doubt about what he is or where he is or what he's doing or anything else. And it's a lot easier to have an open and honest relationship with a convict, I think, than it is to have with somebody out on the streets.
You look very good. You look like a little angel.
Okay, now, and here's your garter. Okay, there's my garter. And this, I'll put that on.
Men on the streets, for the most part, generally speaking, they don't know what they want, and they don't appreciate a good thing when they got it. These men do. They have time to think about where it's really at and what priorities and what they want in their life. And when they decide, and it's forever.
The most important thing is of course, love. You know, when somebody falls in love, you know, boundaries and barriers don't seem to matter. They never have mattered. All through history, they got people doing all kind of strange things that everybody said, why do that? It's because they were in love.
I had feelings like, is this fair for me? Because I was doing a life without possibility of parole at the time. Is this fair for me to ask this person to share her life with me, and I have an uncertain life at best? And we came to the conclusion that we wanted to be with each other. We wanted to see, I mean, you know, it was literally one of those, let's try this out for as long as we can dig it. If it doesn't work out, we'll move on.
This ring, being a complete and unbroken circle, I give to you, Deborah. As a token of our love.
I really don't know what makes me so special among everybody else to her. But then who can say what makes somebody special to someone who's in love? A lot of people take home some of the ugliest puppies that they can find because they're so ugly they think they're cute. And you look at that puppy and say, well, why did you pick that one? That's an ugly dog. You say, oh, I love this puppy. But why? I just do. They really can't explain it.
That was a kiss given not very long ago, Deborah, and she's joined us today to talk about why the decision, Deborah. Now, I know you knew your husband before he went to prison, but you married him since he's been in prison. Why?
I really love Cornell. I mean, we've been together for 8 years in July, and I decided that I felt like I couldn't be without him. I mean, he was the man that I chose to marry.
And yet you must be without him every day.
Yeah,
because...
in a sense of speak, yeah, I am. But I felt that as long as I knew that I could go see him while he was incarcerated, that would be enough until he could come home.
Nancy, you met your husband since he has been in prison, so there was not a relationship before as there was with Deborah and Cornell. Now, why does a woman such as yourself, a professional woman, well-educated, I would think with choices all over the place, in terms of the man you would choose to marry a man who's behind bars?
That's the man I'm in love with. It was real easy for me to figure out that David was the right person for me. I went to San Quentin with my work at the time. I was working for a drug program. And I admired and respected him from the first time I met him. And I had to think about it a lot, sure. David was sentenced and has been there almost 15 years. He was sentenced for a very serious crime. And I had to think about that, and I had to think, well, what if it had been someone that I loved that was hurt? And I decided that David wasn't the same person.
When you met him, though, wasn't he actually serving a death sentence? With no possibility of parole? No possibility of parole. I've been with him 7 years, well, since '76. We've been married 6 years. And when we married, he did have a life without possibility of parole. But I never believed that. And he didn't either, which is the most beautiful thing about David is that he's Mr. Positive. And he had all of that time to dissect himself and put himself back together and say, yes, the person that was involved in this crime was real mixed up, was real hurt, and was crazy, you know, in the sense of the word of being mixed up and hurt and not knowing what he wanted out of life. And, of course, in your case, your faith turned out to be the case because he is due for release in a couple of years, right? In a couple of years, yeah. But now, Barbara, you two fall in love with a man who's is in for a serious crime, long, without possibility of parole, too, right? Life sentence.
That's what a sentence is.
Why do you marry a man such as this?
Well, I fell in love with him. I really didn't want that type of a life, prison life. So I fought it for a long time, the idea of getting married. We got married about 6 months ago, but it's been a real blessing, and he's a blessing.
You didn't go into prison visiting, intending to fall in love with a prisoner?
No way. Not at all. I was in the prison ministry for 4 years, and he was the first person that I met the first day I went to the jail. But it certainly wasn't an intention, and even after I fell in love with him, I didn't want that. You know, he asked me to marry him a long time ago. I told him, I don't want that type of life. But since I have married him, and it took me a long time to make the decision to go through with it, the Lord had to do a lot of changing in me and strengthening, because it took a lot of courage to marry someone with a sentence like that.
Sure did. And the ordeal you go through on a day-in, day-out basis we'll hear more about, too. Barbara, again, I mean, I'm especially baffled by the sentence that you really take on yourself, which in this instance, again, is you marry a man that, as far as the law says right now, you will never get to spend a day on the outside with.
Yeah, the death penalty.
Yes.
Well, again, as I see with each one of these ladies, we just have hope and faith, you know, that that's not going to be the case. And then you live each day of the time to the fullest.
So you're really saying, I mean, you just refuse to accept the fact that that this death sentence might be carried out, or that he won't at some point get out.
Right. And in the meantime, we live together in the spirit. We work together in a ministry, and we're developing through our personality quirks, and we're creating a marriage that I think is wonderful, and I'm really happy.
It's certainly an unusual marriage for most of us to think about. I want to hear, again, more about it. Barbara Bloom works with a organization called Center Force, unique to California, because they have actually family visiting centers set up in 12 of the prisons in this state, and serving sort of as a pilot program for other states. Are these typical reasons? I mean, it's really hard for someone who's never, you know, imagined such a thing happening, and which is true of so many women listening to us today, to think, why would these women who have so many other opportunities and possibilities marry a criminal? Why do you find they do?
I believe that the women have spoken for themselves so far, and I agree with the reasons why they marry. The reasons are not different than why any woman would marry a man. There is no mythological woman. There is no stereotype of a woman who would marry a prisoner. It's you, it's me, it's the women here in this room.
Love is blind?
Love is love. It doesn't have to be blind. I am sure that these women went into their marriages with probably more forethought than most women go into marriages. I think they spend a lot of time looking at their relationships, and I think they work on their marriages possibly harder than other women because of the environment.
Mm-hmm. Well, they certainly enter into love in a different way than most of us. By blind, I meant certainly not without hope and the faith that things will change. We'll be back to hear more about what their life is like now.
In the mountains of southern Colombia, for centuries, the cloth has been woven by hand. It is not the fastest way, but it is part of a heritage. The same dedication to heritage that has been passed to Juan Valdez. He picks the Colombian coffee as it has been picked for centuries, by hand, bean by bean, only at the moment when it is best. It is no surprise that a country so rich with tradition grows the richest coffee in the world.
Hi, I'm Spike from Jobe's. Did you know that liquid plant food can run out on your plants?
Tell 'em, Spike.
Use Jobe's houseplant spikes instead. They feed plants at the roots. Watch. Liquid plant food can get washed away. But Jobe's continuously feeds vital nutrients where it counts most, at the roots.
Get Jobe's houseplant spikes.
Jobe's spikes for roses and tomatoes, too. Jobe's does the job. At the roots.
Introducing incredible Wonder Drive. It makes driving a screw as easy as pushing a button. Wonder Drive comes with 2 high-impact steel heads, both standard and Phillips. Just insert one of the heads. Next, put in the screw, and with Wonder Drive, you're home free. No matter what angle you need to drive the screw in, Wonder Drive gets the job done. Wonder Drive can be adjusted to set the screw at various depths. And it can be used on all types of surfaces, from hardwoods like oak, masonry, even metal. And here's an incredible bonus. A complete set of precision screwdrivers, 6 in all, and they're perfect for the tiniest of screws. It's an $8 value. Incredible Wonder Drive and set of 6 precision screwdrivers could retail at $19.95, but it's value priced now at only $14.95. Now, here's how to order.
To order, call 1-800-543-3100. 1-800-543-3100. Receive COD charges and send $14.95 plus $2 handling to Wonder Drive. 1615 Highland Avenue, Eureka, California.
No one's going to argue that when you fall in love with a man, you want to marry him or live with him. But we're always also taught sort of as young women from an early age to be careful about those choices, to make sure you fall in love with a man who's going to provide for you and give you, you know, I mean, make life as an equal a partnership as one can make it. And so we have to think twice then about the decision to make a commitment to a man who is really not in a position to give very much back. Kat, you haven't spoken yet to the issue of marriage to a man behind bars. Did you know him before as well?
Yeah, I did.
But you still could have made the decision not to marry him once he was in prison.
Sure.
Why go ahead?
I married my husband for some very basic reasons, the same type of reasons I would have married someone out on the street. Like I said, I knew my husband outside, so I knew a lot more about him.
I find it very difficult to... love and marriage do not just go together. I mean, love and marriage, you spend a lot of time thinking about the future with this guy and whether or not you're going to have... And, you know, we talk about people being put away for the death penalty and all of this, and then we come to find out they're going to be out in 2 years. That just seems to me to be... I don't know how you can live with that.
Men are sent to prison as punishment. And there, believe it or not, there are people who are in prison who have done their time, who have reckoned with themselves, reckoned with their souls, reckoned with God or whomever, who are ready to come home. Have you ever thought about that? Have you ever thought about the fact that
No, because I've always heard that once you get in, you get worse.
Well, that's the difference between being a part of the situation and being a part of society that just listens to the media. Well, we live. My husband's doing a 7 to life sentence, and he was eligible for parole at 7 years. He's not been found suitable.
Doesn't that bother you that he's not?
Of course it bothers me.
I mean, doesn't that make you think if he's not suitable for parole, I mean, there are lots of things saying that this man's not acceptable.
Can you say what your husband did? Because I know I asked Barbara? Deborah, I'm sorry. During the break, what did her husband do? And she said she can't answer that because she's too sensitive about it.
Well,
can you answer that?
Yeah, I can, but I'm not going to answer that either because that's he doesn't want.
That brings up a great point. I mean, if what he did, this man that you want to sleep with and spend your life did some things that you can't even mention. Aren't you afraid to be with him? I mean, why?
She didn't do it.
Right.
If he was here and you wanted to ask him what he did, that's a viable option. But there is a thing there where she didn't do it. She did not commit the crime, whatever the crime is.
And I don't know that it's really appropriate. Why isn't she afraid to be with him? What's going to stop him from committing a crime against her when they're alone one time?
I know him. I understand the crime. I've read the transcripts. I understand everything that was involved. I understand his role in the crime. I've also been with him for the past 10 years. I know him. I have no reason to be afraid of him because I know him.
I think Kat's an unusual situation. She knew him before. I think that question is more addressed to the women who met them only since they have been.
I'd like to speak to that, though. You can never tell in life what's going to happen to you. You, if you are married now, could find yourself in a situation with your husband or your lover or your son, who you know very, very well, that could happen to you. But until you experience it, it's foreign to you. I work with prisoners' families, and I've seen this happen time and time again, where a mother will come to me and say, I can't believe, you know, my son has been convicted of this crime. Or a wife can come to me and say that. And I think it has to hit you where you live before you really come to understand.
The only where it hit me was that I was in a liquor store when there was a guy inside with a gun and cops outside, and they were all pointed at me, and I turned to a big bowl of mush. I couldn't even get to the car because I was shaking so bad. And I can't understand, I wouldn't go out and seek somebody in prison to marry because this is going to make me work harder at my marriage and my relationship.
Well, I don't think that any of us went out and sought someone in prison to marry. When I got into the prison ministry, I didn't even want to go near a jail or a prison. I was scared to death of it. But through that, and also I was a victim to a crime, to 2 crimes in my life.
Many people have been victims in one way or the other, and boy, there is nothing that turns you off to I mean, the whole idea of crime and criminal systems and to be a victim. And you just said you were a victim of a violent crime, and now you are married to a man who obviously had some sort of violent crime because he's in for a felony.
Yes, I had.
That's especially baffling, I have to tell you.
When I first went into the prison ministry, I had a real fear and very opinionated ideas on what should happen to certain types of offenses, people that have committed them. But the Lord also did a work in me in the time that I was in the prison ministry, because I had to have a healing in those areas. God doesn't want you to live in fear. And he removed all this fear. And when I started counseling with the people, you know, like they say, how can you deal with the crime that they committed? I wasn't dealing with that. God gave me his love for those people, and I poured it out to them. And they could receive it.
Surprised that these people who are in prison have families that already love them. Men go to prison who are married. Their wives love them. We don't question that. I mean, would you doubt that?
That's right. And
their
now
mother
they're
loves
in
them,
prison.
their children love them.
Now they're in prison to be punished. Why should they be able to go and get married? That's not punishment.
To begin with. Why is it so astonishing that another person can fall in love with a person who already has people that love him?
Because you know going in right there that, well, this person has committed a violent rape, for instance.
That is not all that person is,
Jessica, you do have a pre-knowledge of that person if you knew them before, as in the case of both Kat and Deborah. That, I mean, you don't. You only have the knowledge of a man you're meeting behind bars. If you're meeting someone in prison. And I do think, by the way, in spite of what you said, I do think society does associate the wife with the crime.
Absolutely.
I mean, I think that's absolutely true. It may not be fair, but I think it's absolutely true that they do.
But they do. They do. And I find that the women are very strong, and they're very clear with themselves and their own consciences in terms of dealing with it.
And because we're married to men incarcerated does not mean that we condone crime. We're people, we're part of the society too, and we have our feelings about crime and punishment and what have you, but we are also involved in that system, and we see how it works, we see how it operates. When we go into prison, we see that prisoners are not, they don't come out with scars on their faces and you know, look like they'll eat you up on sight. That's not it. But before our conceptions of prison, mine was totally different. There are human beings, regardless to what they've done, they're human beings.
Well,
and
that's
some
what
of
makes
them are
it interesting that
redeemable.
we're hearing your perspective today. We'll be back to hear more about it after this.
Sometimes it's easy to see how a major news event affects you. But what about today's news? What will it mean to you tomorrow? You need to know. And U.S. News and World Report satisfies your need to know like no other news source. U.S. News brings into focus the confusing details of daily events, so you get a clear, sharp picture of what's really happening throughout the world. and why. It helps you understand if what you're seeing in the news is just a harmless stock market blip or a danger sign for the economy, just another border skirmish or the start of a bloody war. U.S. News helps you spot important trends that could have an impact on you and your future. Shows you how computers are touching everyone's life, how our schools are becoming a political battleground, how drugs are sapping our country's strength. What's more, U.S. News satisfies your need to know with news and expert advice on managing your money, staying healthy, enjoying your leisure. Helps you decide if now is a good time to vacation abroad, if now is a good time to buy a house, why now is the time to save more on your taxes. And right now, discover for yourself how completely U.S. News satisfies your need to know by calling this toll-free number for a money-saving trial subscription. As a special bonus, you'll also get absolutely free this handsome digital timepiece with true quartz accuracy. Perfect for your desk, your car, pocket, or purse. So call now, 800-445-4500 for 26 weeks of U.S. News. But send no money. You can pay in 3 convenient monthly installments of just $5.97 each. That's a low basic rate that saves you more than half the cover price. Call today, 800-445-4500. Get 26 weeks of U.S. News with 3 payments of just $5.97. Plus your handsome bonus gift free with your paid order. 800-445-4500. Toll free. 800-445-4500.
Prisoners are not allowed to get married in every state. We should say that. In fact, there are only 6 or 7 at last count, I think, where they are allowed to get married while they're incarcerated. Why do you think the men in prison want to get married?
I think there's a number of reasons. Number one, for a support system, a strong support system on the outside, for the intimacy, the closeness, having a family. Many prisoners lose touch with their families when they go to prison. Many of the families live far away. It's an opportunity to have a new family again. Some prisoners marry for sex. You know, that's a given. That I wouldn't say the majority, but that is an issue for some. They're eligible for the conjugal visits. And but for the most part, I would say it's the strong support, the intimacy, the closeness,
the connection to the outside world, to be able to know what's going on and to see things through your spouse, your wife's eyes.
I understand how it works. When you're in prison, are you allowed to see your wife out of prison, or
no?
How do you, when you say intimacy, how do you get in?
You have a family. It's a conjugal visit. It's a family visit, and you are allowed to go into the prison. They have houses or mobile homes where you stay for 2 to 4 days. I just came off of a family
Which is,
visit
again,
today.
is the only time that you have private time together,
Right.
which is very important, and which is one of the many reasons that I married David, was to be able to have time together alone, not just for intimacy, but to be alone, to be able to talk about what's going on in our lives and what's going on at home with our children, or, you know, do we need to fix the washing machine or buy a new one, or, you know, things like that. David is definitely a part of all the decision-making in our home.
How often are the conjugal visits?
It depends on what custody you have.
Yeah.
They vary from 30 to 45 days per month.
Okay, now you just got married. Did you get a honeymoon?
Yes, just one.
How many days?
It was 2.5 days approximately.
Alone somewhere, totally separate from everybody else. Are there guards?
Well, yeah, they have 2-tier guards, and you have the 2-bedroom trailers. And it's, you know, to me, it's like you're in your own place for them that short period of time that you're there.
Did you bring food, or did they
supply
food?
No.
Did you cook, or it was like
Oh, yeah, it's just like you're at your home. I mean, it's pleasant for me, and that's important to me, to be able to have those visits, you know, that visitation right.
With my marriage, I'm not allowed to have conjugal visits. And my visits are through glass and or in a little cage. And
would you describe that? That's so incredible to me.
Well,
You only see your husband inside some...
In a cage. A cage that is like 4 feet by 4 feet. They put you with a table and 2 chairs, and they lock you in there. And it's set out in the visiting room where everybody else can visit freely. And then they have in the middle these cages for death row inmates. it's kind of like a spectacle in a sense, you know.
So everybody else is around you on the outside
yeah.
watching.
Right. But I find that Bill and I are able to be quite intimate, you know, conversation-wise, sharing goals, desires, and aspirations. And that has a lot more to do with intimacy, because there are a lot of women who have sexual arrangements who have no intimacy.
And you probably talk and communicate more than the average couple, any two people that has known each other for years and decides to get married because they've had that time, you know, to go out to dinner and go to plays and go to the movies and, you know, walk in the moonlight and all sorts of things. And they've had, you know, they've had time to do all of those other things.
Well, they're distractions.
Right.
You get nose to nose.
Where you have time to just get to know each other.
That person is.
You really do.
And he gets to know you. And a lot of things surface, true, you know, but you work through them.
It's a growing
You're working
process.
through them.
There's an intensity to the time that you have together. I'm sure all of you know that, are familiar with it. When you only get this specific amount of time and you know that's all you've got, it's all you're gonna have, you don't build into it slowly, you don't waste a lot of time, you're there for each other. The minute you walk in, the minute you sit down, or if you have a conjugal visit, that time is so intense.
But how could it be quality if you're not able... Now, you've been married to this guy for 2 years, and you have not been able to make love to him for 2 years.
No.
What about your own self? What about your needs? So where do you get that met?
Well, see, marriage is not just what my needs are. See, marriage is a commitment.
But you're a partner in that, Barbara.
That's
Your
right.
needs should count.
And I do get my needs met. I'm not frazzled or wrecked because of it. I haven't become some deviant because of it. I'm a find-up...
Are you saying you're faithful? You've been faithful
Yes,
for 2 years?
Of course.
I would find it a lot harder to be faithful to someone who I didn't know if I would ever be able to make love with, because I don't know when he's going to get out, than I would if someone were over in Vietnam for a year,
Well,
when I know he'd be
conditional
back.
faithfulness.
That's
Yeah,
conditional.
that's conditional in your conditions. You could be married to a man and, let's say, on some unforeseen accident, and he wouldn't be able to make love to you. Does that mean you eliminate him because he can't satisfy your need? So that's not a commitment. That's not a commitment.
Do you think that being in prison is an accident, though? I mean, isn't it really like somehow he got there because of something that he did, and somehow he's responsible for it on some
That's an
level?
obvious thing, you know. So what does that have to do with anything?
I don't know. I'd have trouble understanding how you would choose that, that's all.
I chose him. I chose him.
Not his lifestyle.
That real special person that you know is the one, and is the one that you want to spend as much time as possible with, and that you agree with in so many ways, and you have such a wonderful communication. That's the person you usually choose to marry.
What'd your mother say?
My mother loves David.
She said that, I mean, she said that when you called home and said, Mom, I'm marrying a guy who's in for life.
Oh, of course not. But if I had called home and said I'm marrying anybody that she didn't know, she would have wanted to...
Now, Nancy, come on.
No.
I mean, you are not going to tell me that your mother did not react to that when you called and told her that.
They were hurt that I didn't not ask them, but consult them and sort of tell them what was going on before I went and got married. Because my mother said, you know, I really would have advised you differently, but I'm sure you would have done what you wanted to do anyway, as you always have. But I wanted them to be able to meet, and that wasn't possible because they lived on the East Coast.
Yeah.
And as it happened, we were married, and my parents came out about a year later, and they met David, and they love him. They all have a really fine relationship.
It would be every mother's dream, though. You will.
No. No, but there's probably been some other people in my life.
There wouldn't have been a mother's dream, too. I'm sure we'll be back in a minute.
Here's a prediction for you. In the next 2 minutes, you will pick up the phone and order a bamboo steamer. Yes, the original bamboo steamer. Over 3 million Americans own, use, rave about the original bamboo steamer, and no wonder. Steaming in natural bamboo is faster, cleaner, tastier than any cooking method you've ever used before, and low in calories, too. Yet the bamboo steamer works miracles in the modern kitchen. Watch. Thaw frozen foods without even touching water. You can thaw chops, a roast, or cook 3 frozen game hens. Fast, thorough, tender to the bone. The bamboo steamer brings day-old bread and rolls right back to the bakery. Watch this amazing demonstration. These expensive sandwich rolls are hard and crumbling. You could put them in the oven and they just get worse. You could throw them away, or let the bamboo steamer make them bakery fresh in seconds. Put leftovers in the oven and everything gets dry and hard. Set them in the bamboo steamer and everything's fresh and tasty as the day they were cooked. Leftover mashed potatoes and gravy, right from the fridge to the steamer, and minutes later, gravy is ready to pour. Potatoes are fluffy, moist with whipped flavor. Think of it. Fresh cooked vegetables, thaw frozen foods, cooked sausages, meat, poultry. You can steam rice, bring leftovers back to life. Now, on this special TV offer, let us send you the original 10-inch bamboo steamer with a brand new gift. The low-calorie cookbook. 3 dozen fabulous feasts cooked in less time with fewer calories. The original bamboo steamer and free steamer recipe book. Just $14.95 with a complete money-back guarantee from dependable National Shop at Home service. Have your credit card ready and call now. Here's how to order.
COD and credit card orders. Call toll-free 1-800-453-9000. That's 1-800-453-9000.
Mealtime for you, my finicky friend.
Mealtime dry dog food is double-basted with meaty juices for a meatier taste in every crunchy bite.
It's mealtime from now on, my finicky friend.
Mealtime, a meatier taste for your finicky friend.